Hello, hello, good evening. It's Monica from Life is Art, and it's Wednesday. Let's create. This evening, we are going to be creating a corner fold card using the Let's Go Anywhere collection, which is the featured collection for the month of April. Oh my goodness, can you believe we're in April already? And the Let's Go Anywhere collection is the one that's featured on the front cover of the March-April catalog. Now, as you guys have all been well aware, the company close to my heart is closing. Makers will be retiring the end of April, so if you have any orders to put in with me or VIP points to spend or parties to close, you need to do that before the end of April. And after that, in May and June, you can purchase items directly from Close to My Heart from their website and get things that way. And they're saying there will be some liquidation sales going on in May and June, so you might get a good deal. We're also working on a transition for makers from Close to My Heart to Stampin' Up, those who would like to transition over to Stampin' Up, and so I will be doing that. So that's exciting, new things to think about and to do. So let's go anywhere. This is a lovely travel collection. And because of the announcements about the company closing and things, a lot of the products are getting purchased up pretty quick. So if there's anything in this collection that catches your eye, you're going to want to snag it real quick. I know a couple things have retired already. They have completely sold out. So we're going to be using the paper pack. We're going to be using some coordinating cardstock. And we're going to be using one of the stamp sets, which is right here, the Let's Go Anywhere Cardmaking stamp set. And I believe this stamp set is still available, possibly not with the thin cuts. So there's there's an option to buy it with or without thin cuts. And the thin cuts are just these two hearts. So if you can cut your own heart, then the stamp set will work just perfectly. I didn't bother with the thin cuts for mine anyway. Alrighty, so let's get started on our card. We're going to make a corner fold card. Now this is not a hard card to make. It's pretty simple, but it's lovely. And I have been under the weather since last Monday, so a week and a half, a week and a couple days, and just coughing, cough, cough, cough. Gotta love that cough that everybody's getting. And it came on suddenly, and it has been hanging on. So I have had my dose of extra strength Buckleys about half an hour ago. So hopefully we will get through this video without too much coughing. And so we're starting out with a piece of scarlet cardstock, which is one of the coordinating colors for this collection. And this has been cut to 8.5 by 5.5, which is a standard size card base. This is a perfect card if you're just using a standard card base and you just want to do something a little bit fun, something simple and easy, and it doesn't take too much thought or too much effort. And that seemed to be right about my speed today. Hey, Joanne, good evening. If you're joining me live, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. And if you're watching later on replay, you can say replay or just leave a comment. And happy to see Heather is here too. Hello, hello. Yeah, the cough that just lingers, right, Heather? What are they calling it? The 100-day cough or something? And I'm prone to coughing for a long time when I get a cough. So, yay, good times. So we've got our 8.5 by 5.5. We're going to line it up here on the Versamat because we want to score it down the center to create that center fold. We're going to score it at 4.25. Quite often I use the pre-made card bases because I like those, but I wanted to do it colored today. So had to get out my cardstock and cut it myself. So there we go. We've scored it at 4.25. We're just going to fold it with the bump side to the inside, just like we do with our pre-scored ones. And make sure we line everything up since I'm not using a scoreboard. And crease it down. There we go. And that is our card base now. Pardon me one moment. Ooh, Buckley's isn't doing the job. Hey, Deborah, good evening. Now, to create the corner fold, what we're going to do is on our front of our card, we're going to take this top right corner and we're going to fold it. That's why it gets the name corner fold. But in order to accomplish that a little bit easier, we're going to open our card back up, line it up on our Versamat. Oh, look, I got a stray little piece of paper. Excellent. We're going to line it up on the Versamat. We're going to bring in our pencil here, and we're going to measure down 2 inches from this top right corner. So 1 inch, 2 inch, and we're just going to make a little mark. That's as simple as that. And now what we want to do is we want to take either our scoreboard or our ruler and bone folder. I'm going to turn it just a little bit. And we want to make a score line from this center. Sorry, just holding back a cough. From this center crease down to our 2 inch mark. So just line that up like that. Make sure we're there in the right place. So we're going to crease or score from our center fold all the way down to that 2 inch mark. Alrighty. Now it's as simple as folding this along that score line. You want to just be gentle and kind of massage that point to make sure it folds nicely without doing anything too terrible. And then we can crease that down just like that. Now we need to come in with some papers. That is the base of our card. That's why I'm saying how simple this is. And you know what? You could even do it without measuring and without scoring. You could just fold a corner over. And one thing I liked about this was that I found this shape. It's kind of a kite shape or something like that. Reminded me of a paper airplane. So if I moved that card base out of the way and held it like this, it would look like a paper airplane. And I thought with this Let's Go Anywhere with the airplanes and all that kind of stuff, that was kind of a cool effect. I thought that it kind of jived. And so that's why I kind of got inspired by this particular card. Not just that it was a nice, easy, simple one to have in our repertoire of cards to make. Hey, Pamela, good evening. I see my mom's here too. All right. Pardon me. The next piece we want to bring in is a piece of White Daisy cardstock. And this has been cut to 4 by 5 1/4. We actually need 2 of these. So while you're cutting it, you might as well cut 2 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, we're going to set one aside for now. We're going to start working with this first one. And what I want to do is I actually want to open up this flap here like this. And I'm going to lay this piece on top because I need to do some measuring that's maybe not precise measuring. What I want to do is I want to create an even border on either side. So on the left side and the right side. And then I want to kind of push this up towards the top until this point touches that diagonal score line. So I've got, I don't even know if you'll be able to see because it's nice and tight to that scarlet. So we've just come up a little bit so that it's just touching that score line. And all we're going to do, make sure it's nice and straight, we're going to bring our pencil in and we're going to just make a mark along the white where it touches the score line on this side. So that's all we're doing. We're just marking where it touches the score line. This one with the point and just with the pencil over here. Then we're going to bring in our little trimmer and we're going to cut this from this point to our mark. So let's line it up in our paper trimmer. And this always takes a little bit of jiggling back and forth. It's like trying to line up a teeter-totter. Does anybody remember a teeter-totter or a seesaw? It just kind of seesaws back and forth. And it's always a little difficult to line up. So we're just going to grab our pencil, get rid of that pencil mark. And then all we want to do is kind of line this up and see if it looks right. Oh my goodness, almost perfect. So it's got itself centered. If I lift this up, you can hopefully see in this space, this kind of awkward four-sided space. And then when we fold this down, this one should line up in here. Whoops. Help if I flipped it over. Now this one may need a little extra trimming. Oh, goodness. So it's not showing as much of the scarlet cardstock as I would like. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to shift it down this way so that this point pulls back from that point at the top. Pardon me. Gonna take a sip of my drink. I was hoping to avoid this by drinking the Buckleys earlier. Maybe I didn't give it enough time to work. And I can see that I need to trim off about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to come in with my little trimmer. And I know some people get a little worried when it's not an exact measurement. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to line up this straight edge along one of the horizontal lines. And I'm going to trim off about 1/8 of an inch. Just like that. And what's the worst that could happen? The worst thing that could happen is you have to cut a new piece of paper. There we go. That's looking good. Okay, so we've got our white pieces. Oh my goodness. Now I want to come in with a piece of the pattern paper, and this is what we call the hero paper of the collection, the one that's got the nice big pattern all over it. This one's got rolling suitcases and a carry suitcase and a different color suitcase and an open suitcase and hats and sandals and globes and passports and sunglasses and toiletries and you name it, it's got it on there. A little travel journal. So all of those fun patterns are on there. And we're going to now just take our piece and we're going to line it up on our white daisy. And it should line up. Oh, I suppose I should tell you what size this pattern is. This pattern piece is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And I know some of you don't like the 1/8 measurements. You can adjust it if you want. You can make it the quarters and stuff. This just gives you a finer edge around the outside. Now, if you notice here, this top corner, I don't even know if you'll be able to see it. If I make, the same size space around here, this top corner is below that white daisy corner, which is exactly what we want. And then we want to come over on this side. Come over on this side, and we're just going to make a little mark the same distance down from this point of the white daisy. And if I take this over and measure, let me see. That's 1. It's just a little bit more than 1 3/4. It's like 1 3/4 plus another 1/16. So that kind of gives you an idea. But I find the easiest is just when you're doing these kinds of angles, just line it up against the piece you've already cut. Now we're going to trim from this top corner down to that mark we made. That's right on the edge of that suitcase, which is kind of handy. There we go. Seesaw, back and forth. Get it where we want it. Trim. And we're going to set that aside. We're not using it per se on the card, but you'll see what happens in a minute here. Now, let's take our white daisy and our pattern paper and just give it an eyeball before we stick it together. And sure enough, look at that. That fits so nicely. And if I put it here on my card and I line everything up, and something's a little wonky up here, don't worry, because this whole piece is going to fold over it. So if this is a little off, you're never going to see it. It's going to be hidden. Now, if it's really wonky and it comes down below that, that's a problem. But the main thing is you want these exposed edges to look correct. All right, so let's start gluing these on. We're going to start with, actually, maybe I'll stick the pattern paper onto the white daisy. Let's go in order here. Yes, Mom, that corner fold card does remind you of a man's shirt collar. And I have seen a lot of cards made this way for like Father's Day and guys' birthdays. And they actually use patterns and things that would make it look, you know, like a suit collar with a shirt collar folded over it. And that is a really cool look for a masculine card. Could even look like a golf shirt if you use the right kind of papers as opposed to a dress shirt. And then we're going to go ahead, and I'm using liquid glue for this. You don't often see me putting things onto cards with liquid glue, but when we've got this weird angle, and we're going to have these little triangles up at the top, this is just easier than dealing with the adhesive tapes. So let's get this centered. And that's the other thing, is we've got a little bit of wiggle space. There we go. Let's fold this down. And this white is going to go on here. Now we trimmed it, and then we never checked. And yes, it looks lovely. Now, for the pattern to go on this, I am not using this piece, but I went ahead and cut a piece of this lovely tone-on-tone sapphire-y blue one. And this has been cut to 3 5/8 by 1 5/8. Again, I know it's the eighths, but it's okay. And what we're going to do is we're just going to eyeball here. You see how if we lay it on here, we know that we need to go from this corner to this corner with our angle. So let's hold our hand here on the part we don't need. We're going to bring in our paper trimmer, and we're going to put this corner and this corner in. And we're going to trim from one side to the other. I'm going to take a drink too. Whew. There we go. Chop, chop. Now, if you're working on a couple cards, you can use this other piece for a second card. Whew. Losing my breath. Okay, so now let's just check this out. And make sure that our pattern lines up. I can see white daisy all the way around. So we can go ahead and glue that down. Just like that. I want to remind you all that our crop is starting tomorrow at 9 a.m. We are cruising the Nile through Egypt. The Nile actually goes through a few different countries, but we're doing specifically Egypt. So if you haven't checked that out yet, go ahead and find the link. And we'd love to have you join us. There we go. All online. And let's center this on the scarlet. Beautiful. I like that contrast. It took me a while to figure out which pattern paper I wanted to contrast, but I should just know that the answer is always blue. Now, to get this sorted out, we're going to use a bit of foam tape on the back side because we folded this over, but we don't want it to lay down flat like we just stuck a piece of paper on the front. We want to give it a bit of dimension. It's not a difficult fold, but we should make it special. So we're going to add a couple snips of foam tape on here. There we go. Take the backing off. 1, 2, and number 3. There we go. All right, now on the inside of our card, that's where we're going to put this second piece of the white daisy that was 4 inches by 5 1/4. So for this one, I will just go ahead and use my adhesive because that one will go in quick. But while we're sticking it in here, we're going to go ahead and stamp an inside sentiment on this one. So from that card making stamp set, we're just going to center it here on the inside of our card, and it's nice because it shows through. So you can see the contrast now where that strip of the scarlet is going all the way across. So from our Let's Go Anywhere card making stamp set, I decided to use the You Make the World Better sentiment to go on the inside of the card. And I want to use Sapphire ink to do that. Now, if I line up my card here on my Versamat, 1, 2, 3, 3.5 inches up. If I put my sentiment below the 3.5 inch mark, I know it won't end up sticking out. I don't want my sentiment to stick out. So keep that in mind. You could even make a little pencil mark just to remind yourself of where it is. But 1, 2, 3.5. So we'll come down here. It's just a little bit below half, or actually it might be right in half. There we go. You make the world better. And there's other fun things on this stamp set. There's some stitched hearts. There's some solid hearts. There's lots of little swirlies and stitches and arrows. And this swirl with a heart and an airplane. Lots of fun stuff like that you can add in. Just be aware that you want to avoid that spot up there. I'm going to leave it nice and plain there. We're going to focus now on the front. And the first thing I want to do is come in with a piece of French vanilla cardstock. And that is one of the coordinating colors as well. And the sentiment that says, I'll go anywhere with you. And so we're going to ink that up in the Sapphire as well. We've already got it out. Might as well use it. Could use scarlet too, but we're going to bring in scarlet in another way. I'm going to move this closer to me so I can see what I'm doing. And line that up. I'd go anywhere with you. Now this has little stitch lines on it. And one thing that I will caution you, when there is a stamp that has those nice little stitch lines, you want to avoid putting excess pressure on your stamp when you stamp it down, because what happens is those tiny little stitch lines will actually kind of like flop over, like it'll just shift a little bit, and then you'll get like a secondary shadow, like a smooching on there. Smooching is good, but not on your card. It starts to look like smudging if you're not careful. So try not to add too much pressure. Just nice, firm, solid pressure. Don't wiggle it around, or those little guys will just topple right over. They're a little fragile. Hey Michelle, nice to see you're watching. Oh, Mel is here too. Hello, hello. Yeah, I know. The cough is just, it's doing its thing. I hope I'm well enough for the cruise tomorrow. I bought the extra strength Buckleys. I was giving it a test run tonight to see if that would help and get us through, because we do lots of live video crafting during the crop and lots of chat and craft. So it's possible I won't be as talkative during chat and craft, but that's okay. You guys can talk amongst yourselves and I'll just enjoy. Save my voice as much as I can. Save my coughing. But I'll kind of get a good idea here of how long it takes for the Buckleys to kick in. Now, if you were watching me there, I went ahead and I trimmed the corners. You could use a corner rounder. I have never had success with corner rounders, and so I just went ahead and used my scissors. I'm going to add a little bit of foam tape on the left side here, because remember we popped up behind this little triangle that's folded down, our corner fold. So this side of my sentiment needs some foam as well. So we'll do that, and then on this side we'll just add a little bit of adhesive, because it's already popped, because it's just going to be sitting on the foam tape that's already under there. So we're going to go ahead and stick that down. Whoops. Backing came back. And we're going to try and make this straight. We're going to go off the edge pretty close over to the side here, maybe 1/4 of an inch in. And then what I want to do for a little bit of embellishing, you remember this piece of the pattern paper that we trimmed off when we trimmed off our background paper. If we flip it over, this side has these lovely little passports on here. And there are exactly 2 passports that are not already chopped up. So we're going to fussy cut those out of the pattern paper. Pretty simple, because we're just going to go straight down the center of the shortbread, I guess that is, background. And depending on where you cut your piece of pattern paper, that will determine what color of passports you get for your embellishments. And there we go. Now, these little passports have rounded edges on the right-hand side. So let's round the edges. Why not? We might as well. We can. We might as well. There we go. There's 1. And 2. Of course, now my little snippets of paper are going to be all over my card. So we'll pick it up and shake it. All the little snippets. There we go. So we've got 2 cute little embellishments here. Let's see. I think maybe we'll put the tan one in behind. It's probably a toffee color. So the one that's in behind, we're just going to add some adhesive to that. The one that's in front, why don't we add a little bit of foam tape to it? And let me see. I'll probably have to do a little trim here. Doesn't need that much foam tape. And we're going to kind of layer these one on top of the other. So let's grab the one that's just got the adhesive. I should be using my tweezers for this so I can see what I'm doing. And this one's going to just kind of sit here like that. I don't really want it to stick up above this edge because this is pattern paper. So there's a different pattern on the back, which might not look great having just a chunk of it hanging up above when you open your card. But if you were using something that was just cardstock, then certainly you could have it coming above and the back side would be just cardstock and it would be perfectly lovely. So we're just going to layer those up. And then let's bring in some of the red dots. I don't know if these are still available. Some of the embellishments have now retired. They've sold out. But let's grab some red dots. So there's scarlet, candy apple, and I think papaya is that last one there. We're going to use the scarlet ones. And so let's grab this largest heart. I like to use my piercing tool for this to lift it up. Let's add a little heart right there. And then let's grab a medium one. We'll kind of put it half on, half off over here. So that makes kind of like a little cluster of 3 embellishments. And then this last little one, we'll just stick it right down there like that. So we've made a nice little triangle with our 3 scarlet hearts. And there we go. That is our completed corner fold card, starting out with our scarlet cardstock for our base. Then we added in the pattern paper from the Let's Go Anywhere collection, creating this fun folded down angle, which still to me kind of looks like a paper airplane happening there in the corner. And of course, stamping our sentiment, using some pattern paper to create embellishments, and then stamping "You Make the World Better" on the inside. So cute, not hard, just takes a quick moment, and you've got a nice little fun fold card dressed up, ready to give to somebody. Wouldn't that be lovely to receive? I'd go anywhere with you. All right, have a wonderful evening, and we will hopefully see you tomorrow for the Cruise the Nile crop. We'll see you then. Toodaloo. Bye.